Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sean. I am the Crypto Smith. Thanks for coming back once again. Today's video, we're just going to do a fairly quick couple of updates with Terrareum. Obviously, one of my favorite tokens, favorite projects going on right now. I mean, this team is incredible. They're doing great things. They're moving this project forward day by day, week by week, and they're going to get to their goal of a centralized exchange. Now, before I get into the content, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, that really does help go a long way in getting me promoted on YouTube, which is the reason I'm here. Help get my like and subscribes up. That way it pushes me a little further in the YouTube algorithm. So anyway, let's get into Terrareum. Milton, which is one of the founders of Terrareum. Okay, as you know, per my previous video, on August 4th, they came out and said all government approvals have been done as promised. Dubai, the USA, and India, which is awesome news. I went over how, a lot of people didn't think that was really that great of news or very important, and I explained why it was really important and a really positive move for the team and for the project. Now, Terra Exchange, obviously everybody wants to know, when is this thing going to launch? Right? When are we going to get our hands on this exchange and be able to use it and see what it looks like and how it feels? Well, Milton said today, first week of November. Now, plus or minus 2 weeks, and I'm sure there's a little bit of leeway there because of testing purposes and security assessments, as he says here. They also might have a couple of top exchange listings in the process due to our contract with top 10 exchanges based on our current relationship. I don't know exactly what this means. They might have a couple of top exchanges. It doesn't say they're going to have a couple of top 10 exchanges. It just says maybe based on their relationships they have with top tier exchanges, maybe that's going to allow them to get on some lower tier exchanges for the time being, which they still have to do. They're going to want to get on most of these exchanges if they can. I'm still wondering, with all of the zeros and with reflections, how the top, 10 exchanges are going to react to that. And if that's going to be possible for them to get on without having to do a V2. That is where we're at with the exchange. First week of November, plus or minus, right? You're going to have to give it a little leeway. Issues could come up at the last second. This is what happens when you're in a project like this. Building a centralized exchange is not as easy as you might think it is. It is a lot of work. There is a lot of regulations in most countries that go into this, which is why they're developing two separate exchanges. Terra Exchange, as they show here, which you can go follow them on Twitter, the Terra Exchange, or Terra Exchange US. So they're going to have one exchange for the US and then another exchange for the rest of the world, basically just like Binance does. Binance has a US version and Binance has another version that's for everybody else. Why do they do that? Because the US requires a lot more restrictions and regulations than most of the world requires. So they have to jump through a lot more hoops. They're not going to allow them to list every token that they might list on the bigger exchange and that the rest of the world has access to. But that's part of doing business in the US. You have access to the citizens of the country and their money, but you have to follow our rules, right? The US, the SEC, the CFTC, all these other local agencies, they're going to have their hands in this pie and they're going to get a little piece of taxes and fees. So Terrareum is going to have to follow the rules, and they are following the rules, which is awesome to see. And gives me a lot more hope for this project that they are willing to follow the rules in advance to get this thing done the right way. And that is what you should be excited about. Okay, next update is Terrapool V2, right? Going live in, it's 5 days now because now it's the 12th, which I'm going to do another update. Obviously, when this comes out, we're going to see all the new little bells and whistles and see how it works and how it looks. So that's pretty cool to see. The next thing I want to address is FUD. And everybody knows what FUD is, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And we just use that term to label people who don't like a project. They hate a project, right? They don't want to see it succeed. They want to see it go down the toilet. It's FUD. It's just a general term we use for any negativity in the crypto space, right? It doesn't necessarily mean fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It just means, it's a lot of hate, a lot of negativity coming towards one particular project or another. And Milton addresses this, says, what should we do with people like this? A sample of what my chats that I deal with on a daily basis. Now, this guy basically is saying, hey, I'm going to keep fighting you unless you pay me, which I believe is a crime in some countries. If not, I will continue to spread awareness and bring this project to the ground. Now, is this guy going to bring the project to the ground? No, he's certainly not. And he can go out there And I think I looked this guy up and I think he's got like 168 followers. So he's not going to get a very big audience if he wants to FUD the project. So I don't think anybody's really worried about it. But what do we do in a community about people like this? They say it's a scam. They say it's never going to work. They say Binance is going to crush you guys. Whatever it is they want to say doesn't really mean anything. Why doesn't it mean anything? Well, for me, and this is from my personal experience, I don't have anything invested in whoever these people are, right? I don't care what they think. It doesn't matter to me. They don't pay my bills. They don't live with me. They're not my neighbors. I don't care what they have to say. And most of what they have to say, almost all of the time, it's incorrect information, or they didn't do research, or maybe they lost money because they got in and they got out at the wrong time. And that covers most of it. And then you have haters of your project that happen to be in another project that maybe it's competing, or one of the devs maybe got out of that project and started their own project, wink, wink, nod, nod. And that's what happens. And I can guess what other project that this Aaron person may be into. And you can probably guess that also, but we're not going to discuss that here. I don't even want to say the word. I'm over that. So this is what we do. We succeed. Success is going to kill the FUD. That is the only thing that is going to stop people from saying negative things about your project, about your crypto, about your holdings, is success. If you succeed, if Terrareum or when Terrareum succeeds, this stuff will go away and Milton won't have to deal with it anymore. If Milton and the Terrareum team have gone out and registered to do business as an exchange in the US, clearly not a scam. Clearly, people out there are vetting him and the team and the project and are going to continuously look at it going forward. That gives me all the bullishness, let's say, in the world about the project. I don't have to worry about it. I certainly don't have to worry about dingbats like Aaron who want to run around and say, I'm going to FUD your project unless you pay me, which is just stupidity, right? This is stupid for people to do. It makes them look petty and dumb. And I don't mind if he does that, right? He's totally free to do that, right? We live in most of us live in a free world where you can say what you want, and you have to deal with the consequences. So that's how you deal with the FUD. You don't worry about it. In a team like Terrareum, that's positive, making moves every day. You want to keep it positive, right? Milton wants to keep it positive. He doesn't need to be arguing with everybody out there. It doesn't do any good anyway, because they're not going to listen. So that's what you do with FUD. You just keep it positive and you move along. There's nothing to see here. Let's check out the price real quick of Terrareum. On to the next thing. Right now, we are just range bound right in here. 801 to 8025. And really what needs to happen here is we need to break above 25 and we need to turn this resistance line, right? It's just bouncing around in here into a support line to where it starts to bounce on top of this and go up. That's what we need to see. When's that going to happen? I have no idea. If I did, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I'd be retired on a beach somewhere, sipping Mai Tais and playing Yahtzee. Next quick thing I want to address is what makes a successful exchange. Let's look. This is the top exchanges listed by CoinMarketCap. It basically listed by exchange score, which means, what kind of liquidity, kind of tokens they have. Are they a viable exchange? Do they have security safeguards in place to protect your money? Do they have other safeguards in place to protect the exchange from getting hacked and crashing, or volatility issues and liquidity issues, right? So that goes into a score. Obviously, Binance, it is the big boy on the block. There's no denying that, right? And that's not a problem. They've done big things. They've created a ton of interest in the space. So kudos to them. They're number one, right? And far down the list, a distant second is Coinbase. But you look at the money that has to come onto these exchanges, and in the world of crypto, $1 billion a day isn't what it used to be. All right, it's not a ton of money. Binance US only does 370 million a day. In order for Terra Exchange or their central exchange, or even Terra Exchange US, they don't really have to be an enormous powerhouse to be wildly successful. I look at Gate.io and what's the other one? LBank. When I look at these two exchanges, these are meme coin exchanges, right? These are where meme coins and joke coins go to get their first listings, to kind of get their foot in the door, see how it goes. Sometimes they get delisted because they're scams, or they fall apart, or they rug, or they're just bad projects and they're not run well and they just go away. But LBank does $1 billion a day in volume, which, I mean, it seems crazy. Now, they have a lot more tokens. They have 479 tokens. Crypto.com does half that volume, but it also has half the tokens. And why does it have half the tokens that LBank has? Well, LBank can list anybody they want. They're not in the US. They're not registered and licensed to run in the US. Crypto.com is. So you can see by the number of coins they have that it's restricted. They're not allowed to list every coin they want to list, right? They have to go through rules and a committee. They have to decide, does this fit our criteria? Is a government agency going to get involved if we happen to list these types of projects? So there's a lot more that goes into it being an exchange in the US. Let's go back up to Binance. Binance has only 386 coins, right? When you see these other ones like Gate.io, almost 1,500 coins. Why is that? Gate.io is all about the money. All they want is to get those listings, get the listing fees from the projects to be listed on their platform so that people can go to a real website and buy a token and not have to go through Uniswap or PancakeSwap or whatever in order to get it and pay higher fees. So they can go to a real exchange. I mean, and there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that Gate.io is a bad exchange. I'm just saying these are different types of exchanges. Binance, the regular Binance, does $13 billion in daily volume, and they only list 386 tokens. Well, guess what? They can afford to be very choosy about the tokens they list. They're not listing meme coins, right? Unless those meme coins get to a certain level of followers, wallet holders, liquidity, right? They have much higher criteria than a Kraken or a Gate.io or Bitfinex. Like, these aren't bad exchanges. Now, I'm not saying that. Just make sure you hear me right. I'm just saying they're different types of exchanges. They have different goals in mind. Binance is top dog. They want top tier projects only. They want blue chips is what they're looking for. You get down in these other ones like Gate.io or LBank, and they want anybody that's willing to come on and pay the fees. They still have to do a KYC, right? They have to prove who they are. These aren't just scam tokens. Scam tokens can't just get onto all these exchanges and sell a bunch and then rug. Like that's not really the way it works. I'm not saying they can't rug. I'm saying that they do have to go through a KYC process to get on any of these exchanges. That's the number one criteria for applying to these exchanges. They have to know who you are first before they're even going to check out your projects. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what being an exchange actually looks like, money-wise, daily volume-wise, number of tokens. Obviously, it's going to be a slow start for Terrareum in the beginning. They're going to have to gain some traction. They're going to get their name out there. People are, projects are going to want to get on there, and they're going to have to vet. Is this a good enough project for us? Do we want to put our name associated with this? And unfortunately, especially when you're a new exchange, if you get a bad project on your exchange early on, that is disaster. Right? Because all people are going to do is associate you with whatever project they got rugged or it got hacked or whatever the issue was. The negativity that surrounds it is going to have your name attached to it. They're going to have to be choosy about who they allow on the platform to list their token. So having said all that, right? And maybe this went a little bit long, and I keep saying this is going to be a quick update, but it's always a longer one than I think it's going to be, especially when I go to edit the video and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 20 minutes. I need to, really cut this thing down. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the update, and you guys get out there, do your own due diligence on Terrareum, right? Get out there, do your own research, right? Just what everybody says. I'm going to say the same thing. I don't provide financial advice. This is my own opinion. Get on there, go on to their social media sites, ask questions, see what's going on, look at the good and the bad, compare, contrast, do what it is you have to do before you decide to jump in. Never spend more than you can afford to lose. That is the number one goal in crypto, is not to lose money, right? So don't be stupid, okay? You heard it here 10th. Don't be stupid. Anyways, until next time, you guys have a great night. We'll see you.